if the deal does take effect, what will this mean and what will it not mean for Gaza, for Palestinians, and for Israel and Israeli society? And that is the single most important question right now. So only once we've all addressed that, then let's talk about what these developments tell us about the legacy of Biden's administration and what the hell, we can expect in geopolitics in the Trump 2.0 era.
I mean, they're interlinked in the sense that I'm thoroughly cynical about everything that happens in the Middle East, and I'm very cynical about the Israeli government because they are a group of very cynical people. And all American negotiators, whether Democrats or Republicans, don't have the best interests of the people at Gaza at hand. Let's be honest about that. Look, if this is real in any shape or form, even in a temporary form, that's a good thing. Because even if you get an hour where the bombs stop falling, that is some kind of relief for one of the most oppressed peoples on earth, the Palestinians of Gaza, who spent the last 16 months being genocided, right? Having their capacity to continue living, existing, destroyed in front of our eyes, live streamed to us. As the Irish lawyer for the South African government said exactly a year ago at the ICJ, this is the first genocide where people are live streaming their own genocide, begging for help from the rest of the world. And a year later, here we are with no change. So if we've even got an hour of a pause, I'll take it, and Palestinians in Gaza will take it. Now, that doesn't mean, though, we have to start celebrating and, cheering and suggesting that there is peace in the Middle East, peace in our time. That's bullshit. And I'm very skeptical about this deal, not just because Netanyahu today said they're not going to vote on it, not just because Ben Gvir, his far-right terrorist, convicted terrorist national security minister, has threatened to resign if the deal goes through, and that means the Netanyahu government would fall, and Netanyahu is all about self-preservation. But separate to that, just look at the deal itself. A, it's the exact same deal that was on the table in May of last year that the Israelis rejected, but the Americans lied and said Hamas rejected. B, it involves 3 phases, right? Of 42 days for the first phase, 42 days for the second phase. It's really the second and third phases where the actual long-term impact of this kicks in terms of withdrawal of Israeli forces, in terms of any kind of humanitarian reconstruction. Those 2 phases, a lot of people are saying we will never get to, right? Netanyahu is only interested in phase 1. If we even get to phase 1, where you do a limited release of prisoners, and then he goes back to bombing. Netanyahu has made it very clear that he's not going to stop the war. He doesn't want to stop the war, and that's why he's never been interested in a ceasefire. He's only interested in pauses. So, some people are spent the last 24 hours attacking me on social media because I was one of the people who said Trump will be worse on Gaza than Biden. So there's a lot of gotcha moments going on right now. So, well, look, Trump was better. He did it in 24 hours, what Biden couldn't do in a year. I would say let's wait and see, right? I'm old enough to know that Donald Trump is not what you think, is not what you see. And people who have celebrated Donald Trump early tend to find egg on their faces. So I hope I'm wrong. I hope that in a year's time or 6 months' time, people will say, Mehdi, you were wrong. Donald Trump was much better for the people of Gaza than Joe Biden. But the man is not even president yet. Please stop the premature celebrations. Let's see if this ceasefire happens on the Sunday. Let's see if it holds. Let's see if it actually delivers peace. Let's see if we get any kind of reconstruction, because stopping the bombs is only one part of it. Gazans cannot continue to exist in a place that is uninhabitable, which experts say will take, 80 years to rebuild. 42 million tons of rubble. So I want to see what happens first. Already today, we've seen Donald Trump's incoming National Security Advisor, Waltz, Michael Waltz, I think his name is, saying that we support Israel's right to go back into Gaza whenever they like. We've seen Marco Rubio, who's going to be the Secretary of State, saying he's going to lift all sanctions on the settlers that Joe Biden brought in, the limited sanctions on the limited far-right settlers. So this is far from done. The people who think it's all done now are being very naive and have learned nothing from the first 4 years of Trump. But look, having said all that, I know you want to get into it in a bit. Clearly Trump's done more than Biden in the last week in terms of applying pressure. That's undeniable. And it's embarrassing for Joe Biden and the Democrats that that's the case.
No, I was just going to say, I think, everyone is rushing to do the thing we were just talking about in L.A., right? Is rushing to have a take on what's happening while it's still unfolding and we don't know what's going to happen,
exactly.
Right? And so I think everyone, especially on the MAGA Trump side, is trying to kind of sell this as a, Jimmy Carter, Ronald Reagan hostage kind of moment before we even know if the deal is going to be accepted and
implemented. It's interesting you
implemented.
mentioned the hostage situation because, of course, in 1968, you had Nixon, Vietnam, and Kissinger. We discover later that Kissinger was treacherous and was passing messages to the Vietnamese saying, we'll do a better deal, don't stop the war now. And many more Americans and Vietnamese, of course, and Cambodians and Laotians died because of that. We know that in 1980 now, and there's a great new book from Craig Unger on this, that Jimmy Carter was very close to getting the hostages out of Iran, but Ronald Reagan said to the Iranians, don't do it. I'll give you a better deal and I'll get you weapons. And this may be the third time that happened. We know that Netanyahu and Trump met at Mar-a-Lago last year. We don't know what was discussed, but I wouldn't be surprised if Trump said, make sure you hold off till I'm in office so I get the credit. We know Trump doesn't give a shit about Palestinian life. It's all about his ego and showing that he is a deal maker. He's a successful president. He wanted this done by January the 20th. By the way, it's not going to be done by January the 20th. Can I just point that out? Everyone, I love the way we grade Donald Trump on a curve. Even the left grades Donald Trump on a curve. He literally said he wanted all the hostages released by January. Hostages won't be released by January the 20th. The deal only begins on the 19th. So this is the man who also said he would end the Ukraine war in 24 hours, right? Good luck with that. Apparently it's going to be over on Monday night. So this is the kind of bullshit that unfortunately leftists too have allowed Trump to be graded on a curve about. And like I said, I hope to be proved wrong. But to say that I'm wrong right now, or that those of us who warned against Trump on the issue of Gaza are wrong because there's this ceasefire deal that hasn't been even implemented or voted on by the Israelis yet, calm the F down.